I have become OMNI HUNTER! Montage that business! Welcome back, classic crew, to my final journal in Monster Hunter Generations Ultimate. I now stand or sit before you as an OMNI Hunter. Not the best one or the one I thought I would become, but an OMNI Hunter nonetheless. I am better at some weapons than others, but hey, I finished my pledge. I slayed Bloodbath Diablos with every weapon in Monster Hunter Generations Ultimate. If you want to be technical, not with the Prowler, but that was never my original pledge. So there's a lot of things I can still do in the game if I want to get back to it. But I'll be honest, I need a break from this game. It's been a year and I've been back to back Monster Hunter for I think 3 years. And I feel it now. People are like, you're going to burn out. I'm like, no, I don't feel it, but I feel it now. I'm like, I just need a little vacation from the hard Monster Hunter. So like, I don't need another challenge just yet. So the last time I left you, I had 3 weapons left. We had the Gunlance, which I was stuck on, the heavy bowgun, and the sword and shield. Luckily, those weren't as bad as... So here we are. So with the Gunlance, I found out, okay, the Gunlance I ended up doing a Valor strategy, and I learned that I could pretty much keep my shield up and poke, which was what I think we called it a turtle strategy. It's what I'm calling it. And the worst thing about that hunt wasn't so much the hunt itself. It was taking on the ire of chat. Chat was disgusted with my playstyle, and to their credit, I wasn't playing Gunlance properly. I wasn't slapping, I wasn't booming, I was using a lance. I was using a Gunlance as just the lance and ignoring the gun part. So I was struggling a lot with Gunlance to pretty much find my openings where to blast it, but when I found out I could just keep my shield up and poke over it, I realized I could do more consistent damage to Bloodbath instead of trying to figure out how to hit him and dodge him and all that. So it just worked out for me as a better playstyle. Now, it wasn't all pokes. When I actually did manage to exhaust him, I was able to pull out my slap and booms, and as my gauge went up to red, then I would lock it with Wyvern Fire. So there was some element of strategy in it, but it wasn't clean Gunlance gameplay. It was complete noob Gunlance gameplay, but it worked, and I finished my hunt in 39 minutes and 7 seconds. Not my best time by far, nothing to be proud of here, and the chat was just so disgusted looking at my playstyle, but it counts. The monster died, and I hunted it with the Gunlance. Next, I went to the heavy bowgun, which I figured this would be a challenging one to do, and I first started with a Valor build that had crit +2, pierce up, crit boost. I basically took my light bowgun build and put it on this heavy bowgun, and I just went out. Like, I didn't want to spend any time. It was getting late into the stream, and I didn't want to build a whole custom set. I'm like, let's just try it. And tried I did, and failed I did. I was really struggling with the heavy bowgun's animation locks, and also it had been months since I had played it due to various reasons. So I didn't remember, like, how do you run? I remember that there was running out of heavy bowgun, but I couldn't figure out how to do it. So it was pretty much relearning the heavy bowgun, and I got slapped around quick, and I was feeling a little dry. I'm like, I want one win. I want to, like, really finish this pledge. So I went to Sword and Shield thinking I could just easily mop the floor with Bloodbath. I brought him to phase 3, and ultimately I carded 3 times and failed. So that kind of ended the night on a sour note. I was like, oh, well, we need to rest, we'll come back. And so I came back a week later, got my heavy bowgun, actually like fleshed out the proper skill for it. So I realized that like one thing I was really struggling with was the animation lock of like pulling out your gun and even like reload. No, just pulling out the gun was one of the problems. It's a really long animation cycle. So I was like, oh, I remember using a quick sheath. That's like a solution to my specific problem here. So I went out and got quick sheath, and it made a huge difference in my playstyle. I felt like I was less locked and fighting my controls a lot less. I know it's not an optimal build, but whatever. And I also tried Shot Booster, which is a skill that lets you get crit shots a little bit further, and like that sweet spot gives you more range. So overall, I had more range to maneuver, but I was still struggling. I was still getting caught with the roar. I was still getting caught when in siege mode he would charge me and I couldn't absolute readiness out of it. So overall I was still fighting the controls of heavy bowgun and struggling. So lastly, like I was trying to avoid this, but I'm like, let's just put the comfy skill in. I went in and got rid of all my crits from the heavy bowgun because this heavy bowgun doesn't even have high affinity. So I put in my earplugs so that I wouldn't get hit by the roars or be affected by the roars. And I tried again, failed again, so I'm like, maybe Valor is the problem. Another problem, like what I was finding with the Bloodbath Diablos hunt, is it took me a while to get into Valor. Like, once I'm in Valor, yeah, I can run around, I can get into Siege, I can shoot. Like, the problem wasn't my Valor mode playstyle, it was getting into Valor. I really struggled. So I was told to, or recommended to use the slicing ammo to build up my Valor gauge. And like, that was working really good, but you only got like 10 in your inventory. And after that, it was taking me a lot of shots to get into Valor mode, and Bloodbath being as aggressive as he is, I just didn't have a lot of openings to do that. So I was not enjoying getting into Valor mode. I'm like, maybe I need to try Adept style. Maybe that's the key here. So I switched to Adept and all my problems got resolved here. Like, I could just pretty much, it was really just dodge into his attack, turn, shoot, get into siege mode, and I managed to kill him in that. So it took me 41 minutes 7 seconds. So again, not the best hunt, not the best gameplay, but I made it. Finally, I went over to Sword and Shield. This time, since I was already an Adept, I'm like, well, let's try Adept, because the previous night I had tried Valor. And I think I was relying too much on doing the backflips and looking cool. So in Adept, I'm like, whatever, let's just go in here. I've got the Ludroth Sword and Shield. Let's just go in with Chaos Oil 1, because I never upgraded to 2 or 3. And yeah, this one was a lot better. After you dodge an Adept, you basically get like a jump up and jump down slice, which was really fun to do on Bloodbath Diablos. And I just played the game, and like really it wasn't that hard at this point. It took me 38 minutes though, so not the cleanest, 38 minutes and 21 seconds, so not the cleanest or the fastest hunt, but I got it done. And with that, I can finally say the pledge was complete. To celebrate, I built my armor set of Bloodbath Diablos, but I couldn't build the belt because you need a Diablos. And then I want to kind of highlight my final scores for the weapons. These scores were being tracked on stream and were pretty much voted on by the chat whenever they felt that my score needed to go up or down based on my weapon usage. I don't think that these scores properly reflect my ability with a weapon. Sometimes they graded me after I hadn't touched a weapon for months and they're like, oh, you suck. And sometimes they saw me do like phenomenal on a weapon and were like, oh, he deserves better. So this is completely, I think the word is subjective, or is it objective? The one that means it's more opinionated than factual. On the Great Sword, I ended up with a C, which I feel is appropriate because I don't feel like I got enough practice with the Great Sword to warrant B. Although I could argue that sometimes I played B, but probably more consistent at a C. On the Longsword, I scored a B, which, hey, that is a win to me, and I will take that. And I've come so far on the Longsword because, remember, when I tried to play it in Monster Hunter 3U, I ultimately abandoned the weapon because I was so frustrated with it, and I just didn't understand how to play it. Sword and Shield, I ended up with a B. I would argue I could in some cases go to an A, but I get it. I'm not like that great with it. Dual Blades, I didn't play it a lot in single player. I did it a lot more multiplayer. I ended up with a C. I'm okay with that. I think if I could easily get that up to a B or an A in the chat's eye if I played it more consistently. The Hammer somehow ended up with a D. I disagree with that. I think I'm at least a C score on my Hammer. Hunting Horn, I got a C, which I really think after my Bloodbath hunt deserves at least a B in that specific hunt. Maybe as an overall weapon usage, sure, a C, I'll take it. The Lance, I got a C. I'm okay with that. Don't care. The Gunlance, I got a C, but I think the chat wanted to vote me down to a D after my Bloodbath hunt, and for that, sure, I would agree with them. It was not great Gunlance gameplay. But I think I could tighten that up with other kind of fights, but I really don't want to because I don't enjoy Gunlance in GU. The Switch Axe and the Charge Blade, my two mains, I got an A with, which I'm happy to say they're not like low. This is probably the best out of my pledge. The Insect Glaive, I ended up with an A. And again, this is a weapon I barely touched before GU. So to go from a weapon that I had not really known how to use at all to get an A with it, very happy to see that. Light Bowgun is another one, which was another hidden favorite of mine that I just didn't know I would love. This is the weapon I really didn't touch in any other game. So to get a B in GU, that's another big win for me. I got a C on the heavy bowgun, which that's warranted, I feel. And finally a D on bow, which I really don't agree with. I think I was at least a B. I think my shots were pretty good on bow, and I don't know why that grade has been so low. So that's where I ended up as an Omni Hunter. I mean, if I really wanted to be a supreme Omni Hunter, or whatever you want to call it, I could work my way to get those skills up. I could define it by being able to slay any monster with any weapon. But when I look back to a year ago when I made this pledge, I really only knew how to wield a switch axe and a charge blade to some level of comfort. And I felt like all the other weapons were super foreign to me. Now at least I have a sense of familiarity with them, even though they're, I don't play them I don't play them all at the same level. I don't feel intimidated by them or scared of them. And that to me is a big jump. Now, when I look back at how I structured my pledge, and was this the best way to learn weapons? Absolutely not. No, there was so many things I would not recommend to anyone who wants to do what I did. I don't necessarily think rotating your weapon every 3 hunts is the best idea. Like, on one hand, it forced me to use the weapon more often, but I almost feel like it's just hard. Let's just admit that. Juggling 14 weapons is hard because, especially if you're only playing 8 hours a week and you're trying to juggle all these weapons, because the real key is practice. And to get good at any weapon, you need to practice it a lot. And then once you're good at the weapon, you actually have to like maintain your build as you're going up into the game. So if anything, if I would have to give myself some advice to my past self, it's probably play the game how you want and focus on juggling the weapons closer to end game. And I think that makes more sense than trying to like progress while juggling. I think that's just too many variables and factors that makes it really hard. And that's kind of what I did in G rank. I just buckled down with less weapon rotation to get to end game. And then that's when I started on Bloodbath, started rotating really my weapons and really like figuring out how to play with them and how to optimize their build. Otherwise, it's too much. Like, you have to upgrade and manage your weapon. You have to manage and upgrade the armor set around it. And then GU, I didn't know had this whole skill system or the art system, which that adds a whole other level of variability. So yeah, this was probably my hardest pledge. And like, I don't know that saying kill this one monster with all weapons is what makes me an Omni Hunter. It definitely forced me out of my comfort zone. Like hunting horn on a Bloodbath Diablos, that taught me so much that maybe if hunting horn would have paired better with a different monster, it would have taught me something very different, right? I'm really thankful that I did this. I'm really thankful I got all the help. I'm really thankful of everything. I think I want to end it really with, just a quick review of GU and my final thoughts on it. And this isn't necessarily the end. I do have a lot in the game still has so much to offer. There's a lot of monsters I have not even fought in GU, like Fatalis. I haven't even gone look at him in this game. There's so many ways to play this game I haven't even tried. There's so many quests. There's so many skills. There's Prowler that has so much to offer. And I love how much this game has to offer, but I don't want to drink it in all at once, which gives me a lot of confidence to say that I will be back in GU eventually, because I really think it reflects the best of what old world Monster Hunter has to offer. And it's something that's not quite available anymore to like a modern Monster Hunter fan. Like if you want that, you're not going to find it in World Iceborne. You're definitely not going to find it in Wilds. You're going to find some elements of it in Sunbreak, but it's dialed up to a speed that makes it way too different in that game. So GU is really kind of the last bastion to get a real good taste of the old world without it being too painful. Like, I think back to 3U, 4U, I have no real desire to go back to those games because they are so painful. But GU is just like the right level. It's painful, but accessible enough and offers enough that I can just go back and dabble. So yeah, GU is definitely a game I'm going to come back. And I guess I inadvertently kind of reviewed it right there. Like, it is a game with a lot of bloat, but it's a game that isn't meant to be consumed as a whole. The game offers you a lot for whatever you want, and it's kind of build your own adventure. If you could just play with one weapon and try all the different arts and styles within that weapon, or you do like me and you try all the weapons, or you try a few weapons. There's so many ways to play this game that you could play it over and over and over again and get a different experience, and there's just so much that can be done. And the fact that you can play it on the Switch, like, it just makes it accessible. Now, the best thing that they could do for it is port it to Steam and make it cross-play so that everybody can play everywhere. And I really think it would resonate very well. And I think it would capture the old world of Monster Hunter in a way that could be really interesting for those who just joined in with Monster Hunter Wilds, or who joined in the current gen of Monster Hunter, which I guess is Wilds, whatever. So yeah, it's a good game. I want to come back to it. And what do you think should be my next journey? Because in Monster Hunter, not in other games. I have other pledges to finish. I told everybody, my community, that I would finish my pledges before I made new pledges. So we're not pledging anything new for a while. I still am dabbling in Monster Hunter 1. And then I think my other interests would be like Freedom Unite is one I've heard a lot of that I should try. So Freedom Unite and Frontier are the two games that have been recommended to me the most. And I have to say, there's something with DOS that I was told there was so much uniqueness in DOS that I should try it. But also DOS introduced a lot of monsters and things that I do not like. And Frontier is, I know that that's a massive chasm that I don't want to get lost in. And then Freedom Unite, I think, is just like a more polished version of Monster Hunter 1, if I understand. And I think that one would be probably a better way to experience the OG versus what I'm doing, which is playing it emulated on the original, the PS2 version. So that's where we are. Yeah, I'll come back to GU as time allows. I still need to finish my Sunbreak pledge, which is complete all quests, so I'll be dabbling a lot in that. And then Wilds is dropping content, so I will be doing that as well. So for the foreseeable future, you can expect maybe some surprise return to GU, some Wilds content updates, and eventually when the Master Rank thing drops from that. And what was the third one that I said? I forget what it was. I'll do all of that before I really dabble in a new Monster Hunter game. So hopefully you join me as I finish all of that, and I'll also explore other games in other franchises, and I will see you either in any of those videos or on the next stream. Thanks again for watching along my Monster Hunter GU pledge. It has been a blast and has been a fun journey becoming an Omni Hunter. I'll see you in the next video, and until next time, keep it classy.